All right, we're live. We're back again. Thanks for hanging out and hanging around with me. I appreciate it. I did want to talk and spend just well, maybe a few minutes, maybe a little bit more, talking about some of the chat topics. The delay is off, by the way, so I can respond in real time. If you say something in chat, I should be able to respond immediately. Let's hope this works. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the conversation earlier. So Reginald Black was talking about wow, we are very nice. Yeah, Pronder's here. Hello. There were a few people in chat talking about IRC and talking about scripts in particular. I'm going to separate the two topics, okay? We're going to talk about scripting and what's legal and what's not legal, okay? And then we're going to talk about IRC separately because I want to make sure that if we're having this conversation that we don't conflate the two right now, at least. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to make a judgment about what you think is happening, because I'm certainly not going to call anybody out for it, but you are more than welcome to. So here's the deal with scripting, okay? So there's pretty set rules, right, that Broadsword revised, I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, after pressure from the community, which involved macro teams. So we're going to start there. Macro teams are not allowed in New Frontiers. That's pretty much it. Macro teams are defined as pressing one button on one keyboard for one player and having it affect multiple other players, or causing multiple other tunes, rather, that are within your control to do things. Or maybe not within your control, right? Either or. So you can script all day long by pressing a button in the game, or pressing a button like a macro button on your keyboard and it doing multiple things for your tune. Like, for instance, with minstrels, right? I have a button that I hit when I play my minstrel, my bard, on my keyboard, on my Logitech keyboard, and it casts all of the different songs in succession from one another. That's legal. That's fine. If you're on a pally, right? Well, you don't have to twist anymore, but if you're on a pally, you could twist. On my champ, right? I have a button that I click that sends all the debuffs all in one fell swoop, and also maybe I think if there's a DD on on a champ, it casts them all at the same time. So that's all legal. That's fine, but you cannot hit a button and it do multiple actions across multiple characters at the same time. People have used the excuse, "I've got multiple keyboards. You didn't see my setup." Nate Bruner is very famous for this, saying when he ran his macro team. I got like 15 keyboards on my desk. You have no idea. I'm hitting them, maybe one with my foot and one with my hand, and I'm kicking the camera. That's bullshit, and Broadsword can catch it. Macro teams are legal in RVR Dungeons. ML9, they are allowed in as well. Is it ML9 or ML10? One of the two. I can't remember which one is the RVR version. Ramik, I have a script that DDs and melees and reses and raffles. Is that legal? Yes, it is. Zoo, if Zoo has a script that DDs and mezzes, which is good because you're sending the DD before the mez, so you're not breaking it. I don't know why you'd be rezzing the person that you mezzed, and then raffling, though, in that combination is great. It's perfect. Yes, absolutely. Zoo. Totally, and in great order. That works. So beyond that, we go into scripting. We start talking about actions that you should not do. Okay. I'm going to talk about first what's technically possible. You can use, there are multiple programs that you can use that are hotkey programs that allow you to press one button and it affect multiple other people, even if they aren't, multiple other computers, even if they aren't on the same network. So Mojo's one of those programs. AutoHotkey is one of those programs. I don't know about HotkeyNet. I think ISBoxer even has the ability to do this. So there's a lot of speculation that certain groups are using an assist script where somebody hits a button to make a target, and then everybody subsequently in that group, their tunes or their PCs assist on that target and then start firing. Why you would need a script for that, I don't know, because there's an assist macro built into the game, and it requires an extra press of a button. Scripting does absolutely nothing for you. In fact, in this case, scripting is more harmful because scripting can interrupt what you're trying to do if you're on a different target than the main assist. So, for the record, an assist script that allows multiple other people in the group to assist on the same target makes absolutely no sense because it completely defeats the purpose and in fact is it can cause way more problems than it can be good for you. Okay, that's the first thing. Visual scripting allowed. I don't know the specifics of it, but I know, like, for example, a name goes blue and then the script automatically demesses the person. Okay, we're going to talk about that next. There is no such thing as there is visual scripting. You can visually script, but you don't have to. This is the next part of this. Okay. I'm not going to talk about methods because I will not talk about methods on stream. I've had conversations about methods with very few people that I know that will not abuse them and use them, but I do know actually quite a bit about methods of getting data out of the game. And here's what I'll tell you. You can, in fact, get real-time data out of the game. By the way, if anybody mentions a method in chat, I will time you out and you'll get banned for 24 hours. Do not talk about methods, but I'm going to talk about this from a general perspective, okay? There is an ability that you can get real-time data out of the game without visual scripting. So I want you to imagine for a second that if you can get data out of the game in real time, in fact, in some instances, you can get it before the UI updates. So by pulling this data out of the game in this particular method, you in fact can beat the UI to the punch. So imagine what you could do with that if you knew how and you had a nefarious purpose, right? If you thought that like somehow this was going to be a good thing to cheat and you have a small thing and you feel like it's important to make up for it in some way, shape, or form. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. There is, in fact, the ability to do that. So what could we do with that, hypothetically, if we knew methods, right? If we talked about methods, which we're not. You could auto-heal. You could auto-demez. Absolutely, you can do those things. Those things are, in fact, possible. I'm not a programmer by any stretch. I have the ability to write those scripts right now and those programs right now. For the record, I will never write them. And in fact, I want to help Broadsword try and prevent it, or at least be able to identify people that do it and then catch them. They might already have methods available to them. I'm pretty sure that, and I know a method in which CSRs can understand things that we don't see as players. I'm not going to go into that either. But that is totally possible. So you could write a script that pulls data out of the game and says, I'm going to heal you. If you drop below 90% health, I'm going to go ahead and target that person in the group and heal. There's a lot of unknowns about other kinds of the way the client interacts with the server. And there's still a lot of stuff that I'm familiar with that I'm still trying to figure out. But it's from the standpoint of trying to be able to identify what is possible, to be able to tell the community, right? Because it's very helpful, I think, from my point of view, to be able to tell the community, hey, like, don't just automatically assume that everybody's cheating. When you see a cheat, when you're like, those cheaters, those guys, right? I think it's helpful from my perspective to say, hold on, wait a second. Right? That doesn't look like a cheat, or that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would you cheat in this instance? That doesn't add up. I think that's a helpful public service. And I'm not disclosing any of the stuff that I know to anybody that would cheat. And in fact, my plan really is to have a conversation, and I already am engaging people at Broadsword to talk about it. So, but yeah, that's totally a possible thing, Reginald. So, name goes blue, and then the script automatically demesses. Absolutely, that's a possibility. Do I think anybody's doing it right now? No, I do not. I do not think anybody is doing that right now. The exploits that I've seen so far, there was one mentioned in chat earlier, which talked specifically about a particular player who was streaming many moons ago, and they streamed they streamed the removal of their textures. I think water might have disappeared and trees disappeared and stuff, right? That doesn't take a lot of skill to do, and we're not going to talk about how again, but that's baby stuff. That's like baby cheating, especially in a 20-year-old game. And in reality, it might help you see through objects, and it might help you get a visual line of sight on things, but it doesn't really help you in the fight. other than understanding situational awareness. Siegel, sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. Can you help Broadsword make a decent SC program? What do you mean by SC? Spellcrafting? Is that what you mean by SC? Or something cheats? Perrox says, I have a script to OS people. Is it allowed? What is OS? Do I even want to know? Is that, do you want to operating system people? I don't know what you mean. I'm not a programmer, Sigil. I've spent a lot of time in, I want to say the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks doing a very deep dive into Dark Age of Camelot to better understand how the game works, so that I can hopefully dispel some of these rumors. I have a script that to one-shot people. Okay, so this is also very important. Let's talk about what can be done and what can't be done. There are things that are controlled client-side and server-side. Okay? So if you think people are able to purge twice, or if you think people are able to modify their damage, right? Or if you think people are able to drop multiple warps more than they already would, that's not possible. Those things are controlled server-side. Let's not throw Woke under the bus, please. He's trying to get to rank 12. Let's give him some credit, okay? There are certain things that are controlled server side that are not able to be modified. So you're not going to see people double purge. You're not going to see people cast spells twice or use rank 5s twice. There's timers on the server that control that, for the record. Should have taken said Wrath of Champions used to fire twice at double click, but yes, not a mod. Right, totally a bug. Yeah, magic water. I sort of alluded to that crash, that there was somebody that deleted their water texture or the water from the game. Again, that's a baby cheat, right? Anybody who, that's not, like, you're not special if you can do that. And again, also small thing, if you're doing stuff like that. Magic water to make us younger. Yeah, please send that my way. I mean, I'm losing hair on the top of my head. I'm getting wrinkles all over the place. There's gray in the beard. There's gray in the hair. If you have a way to make magic water a thing, like the Fountain of Youth, by all means, please send it my way. Yeah, but Ollie, for the record, okay, in reality, you're not that much older than I am. You're still a youngin'. And anybody who says that, you might be like, we might both be old to Patar, who's like 5, but stop with that nonsense. Who else has a question about scripting or about what's possible? Again, I'm not going to talk about methods here, but I want to dispel rumors because I don't think they're productive. I don't think suggesting, oh, he's not a baby like we thought. Oh, I take it all back. I take the timeout back. I apologize for that. I thought you were giving Toons this crap. You weren't. And I apologize about being 5. Are you 10? Are you 15? 20? 25? What did you have for lunch today? What kind of car do you drive? How much money do you make a year? Tell us everything, Patar. Tell us your life story. No, please don't. We don't have time for that. Does anybody else have questions about scripting or about macros or about things that maybe I can help answer? I'm happy to dive into as much detail without talking about methods as you guys want. Yeah, Pronder said it best. Look, the other thing I want to do is I do want to give credit to Broadsword. Broadsword has done, despite what you guys may think, right? And I'm telling you that I have evidence of the truth, right? Like, I know what the truth is. Not just because of what I've seen, but because of what I've been told and what I understand to be true about the game. Broadsword is doing a lot more than you think they are to combat cheating. And they have, in fact, made changes to try and eradicate some of the more... the cheats that have existed for a long period of time. We'll just leave it at that. Broadsword is, in fact, doing quite a bit. And they have methods that you don't know about in order to catch cheating. Reginald says, I agree with you to a point, Ramik. The reaction speed of them is inhuman, especially since I doubt they're 20-year-olds anymore. There's a first off, for the record, there's a ton of guys in there's a ton of IRC that are 20, around the age of 20, if not just a bit younger. So, and it's not necessarily about reaction time, right? There are very experienced players in this game that are 60 that can still play very competitively. 70-year-olds play this game. I know some 70-year-olds that play this game. And while they, you know, I'm not going to compare age to ability, but I'm just going to say that there's nothing that I've seen lately that's been inhuman. I think macroing multiple actions on your particular tune is a very smart thing. I think learning how to... Toonses says, I don't keybind macro or anything, I click everything. Toonses and I have had this conversation before. I did not believe Toonses when she first told me this, and I totally believe it. And that's a great example of how you don't necessarily... You can be very competitive, you can be a very good player, and not need to macro. However, what I will say is that I think if you have the ability or you want to, I think everybody should be taking advantage of that. That rule change, or the clarification of the rules a few years ago, opened up a ton of possibilities for people to do things that maybe they were doing before and secretively, or that they didn't think was okay and like shied away from because they thought they'd be banned. Yeah, but Toons says you don't use arrow keys to turn. You turn way too quick unless you got the sensitivity turned up on your keyboard. You must mouse turn. You turn very quickly. Cronder says, I'm just happy the broadsword is still kicking around this game, around for us to play. Do you really keyboard turn? That's incredible. Because, in fact, you, and Legan says he keyboard turns too. That's pretty remarkable stuff. It does take time to migrate over. I've never keyboard turned. I've always mouse looked at mouse. I don't use a mouse. Do you use your face on the monitor, Legan? Do you just like shove it up against the monitor and just like, we're gonna go left, we're gonna go right? Is that what you do? I face roll the keyboard. Yes! We need that skill. Face rolling the keyboard is some serious skill. We need more of that in this game right now. And broadsword will never catch you face rolling. How can good players say it, though, and not be true? Lots of good players don't want to 8-man. I asked them, though, and they said, no, IRC killed the 8-man action. IRC killed... So, I want to talk about IRC in a minute. I recognize a lot of IRC is in here right now. I am, at some point, going to throw you under a very small bus. Might be a short bus. I am going to throw you under a bus here, but probably not in the way that you think that I'm going to. So just stand by for that if you want to get dibs on that. Pronder says Legan has a lick at macro. Probably. RamikOaken, when will you 8-man with IRC? You can expose us all. I don't think there's anything to expose, Zoo. For like, you love to troll. I have to tell you something. I hope you have like I hope you're like a professional marketing person, or like you're a comms person in real life. Like, I'm not joking, because you're a fantastic troll. You're very good at pushing the conversation in particular directions. You would make a fantastic comms person. Should have taken. I keyboard turn 2 and I lean into it like when you're playing racing games. Oh my god, that must be great. I love that. Should have taken, please. I'll give you a mithril pack if you record a video of you doing that in the game. Like a camera back here, like looking at you, and you like in fights, and I will give you a mithril pack if you do that. I will. But the catch is that I get to do whatever I want with that video. Listen, IRC, you even cheated in Phoenix. Okay, so first off, we don't talk about free shards. It's in the rules. Don't talk about free shards. Last warning. We don't talk about names. We can say the other place, right? I don't want to give them promotions, for the record. I can bring up pages of people that have been banned. It's okay, Reginald. It's fine. I don't think there's a way for me to share my browser like easily right now without like completely screwing everything up. But I do actually have bookmarked the forum in which all of the people from that particular server have been banned and the announcements. And there are quite a few people that I know that have been, like, that I know of in the game, not necessarily that I play with, that have been banned. Some of them have been for macroing in what is acceptable behavior on UA. And some of them have been banned for speed hacking. Some of them have been banned for radar. But other than FYI, who's been banned multiple times, and Zoo was banned off of that place because he dual logged. Yes, Zoo, I know about that. But dual logging is not cheating. I mean, it is technically over there, but it's not in the way that we think of cheating here. It's against the rules. Yeah, Zoo, I know. And FYI has been cheated for speed. FYI has been banned for speed hacking. Respect Me has been banned for speed hacking. They get caught over there. People get caught for doing stupid stuff over there. Yeah, Pharmacist, I don't think I've ever seen your name pop up. I suspect that's true. Beach Chicken, if people cheat once, even other games, I feel like they're not being given the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose. But it's not really the same. So, yeah. I mean, I know because all of the bans are public. I think if you, like, you probably heard that, like, all of IRC has been banned from that other server. I think if you went onto the forum and read it, I think you'd probably find out that and I'm not trying to defend IRC here by any stretch, but I think that you'd find out that the truth is a little different. So I'm going to talk about IRC here, okay? And IRC killing the action. Beach Chicken says it reveals their character, and that's the same no matter what the game. Without a doubt, it says a lot about who they are as a person. It does not necessarily say that they will cheat again. People psychologically have the ability to reform themselves or be reformed. And I mean, yeah, I hear you. Like, it definitely, like, indicates that there's something going on, that there's a total flaw in their character. But it doesn't necessarily say that they're always going to cheat. And I think when we're talking about hard facts here, right, we're trying to identify instances in which cheating has occurred over here on UA. I really don't want. I feel uncomfortable, a little icky about mixing the two. So let's talk about IRC. Same for most of us. Find a proof, dude. Well, yeah, okay. First off, I just defended you, Parox, so you're good, okay? Like, and you don't have to be defended other than just pointing people to the website where they have all the bans and just going, try and find my name. You can actually search for names. It's really cool. So, okay. Let's talk about IRC. IRC, I have no reason to believe after watching IRC play for so long that they are actively using some kind of script to cheat. I don't think, I mean, we could talk about radar, but I don't think, like, if they're really running radar, and, like, I don't think they're running radar, but if they're really running radar, like, it doesn't really do them other good other than helping them find people, which is not really a problem for IRC and never has really been, for the record. So, like, again, it's that whole assist scripting thing. Like, why would you, like, I just don't see the point in that. So for the record, 2, IRC is not a casual group of players. People love to compare them to every other 8-man in the game. But there really isn't another 8-man that exists in the game that's quite like IRC right now. If you go to the other server, you'll probably find some of them. But they don't really exist here because most of the 8-mans here, they're more casual folks. And I'm not gonna destroy the people who are in IRC and their character right now, but they're different levels of gamer, right? There's like people who log in socially to, I mean, you can be multiples of these things, right? But you can log in and be super social in the game and just hang out and kick back, which is frankly what most of Rescue's BG does at this point. They don't play competitively. They've never really played competitively. Some of them have. But most of that AL BG is here for social hour, which is fine. You You're $15. You do whatever the heck you want with it, in my opinion. Whatever. I would love to see another BG leader step up on Al. We're not going to go there. Ramik, stop. You're getting off track. There's the social folks. There are the casual players, right? That are most of the people that run most. I want to say like 70% of the people that run in battle groups that are more casual players. Then you've got, I want to say maybe like, that's like 70%, 75%. Say like 10 or 15% of those folks, you could take out of a BG, drop in an 8-man, and they'd perform really well, right? Then you've got a smaller section of that, which is people that 8-man all the time. Oddballs, Creepers group, including Toonses, right? Ripweed's group to a certain extent, or they've got a decent makeup. I think they're probably more on the casual level, and I'm not like throwing them out of the bus or anything. I think they're actually really good players, but in terms of like cohesion, right? And then you've got IRC. And IRC happens to be very much alone on this server in the way in which they play. Creeper's like right in between there, right? But IRC's alone in that class. Now, we're very much like, I love this like looking through beer goggles analogy, but we're very much like, tunnel visioned here. But if you go to any other game, there is this breakup of different kinds of competitive players. They exist in every game that's out there. And in every game that you find, you will find people that are like IRC. Now, does that kill action? If you're the only group out there that's like that, yeah, you do kill action. You can wreck the game that way. You can totally wreck the game. Right. I think you typed that, Reginald, just as I was saying it. If you're the only one out there, if you're the only super competitive group out there, you can absolutely wreck the game. Now, the problem, in my mind, and again, this is where I'm throwing you under the somewhat shorter bus here, is that IRC tends to get really cocky about it. Their group cohesion is second to none, in my opinion. They fight extraordinarily well. The groups that they run are well built. All the tunes are, I would assume most of them are very well templated. They all have a lot of toys. They know when to use the toys. It's not just about having them, it's about knowing when to use them. They're well spec'd. They understand what everybody's role is. That's about group cohesion. That comes with playing with each other for many hours at a time. Most hours that you and I, most of us here, don't have to get to play together. That's why they're on another level. So, do I think it kills the game? Do I think it makes it toxic? I think there's an argument there. Yeah, for sure. I do. When you're the only elite 8-man, and then when you add on the sort of the behavior, like the super cocky behavior, then absolutely, it really does make it toxic. Chasing down Creeper's group, trying to steal kills or trying to bait them into fights that they don't want, trying to bait other people into fights that they don't want. I mean, you can do whatever you want in New Frontiers, right? Like, I mean, I guess it's a free for all, but like, there's certain kinds of behavior that turn people off. So, with that being said, I hope I answered the question that no, I don't actually think that IRC is cheating a whole lot, or at all, frankly, for that matter. I don't think they are. Could they? Yeah, I've laid it out that they could. I don't think that's what's happening here. And I think we need to stop accusing good groups of cheating. We need to stop accusing good groups that happen to run into each other of being in cahoots with one another. We have to stop being so toxic in this game. We have to start being positive. I mean, and there's nothing that you can do to beat IRC other than become a group like IRC or outnumber them. That's it. Like, that's just the reality, and it's going to be like that in every single game that you go to. That's it. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it is, Reginald says, I mean, it's frustrating when I outplay them, blanket mez them, and then they instantly demez without using Purge. But But are you sure that you don't know what they use? That's the whole point of this. You don't know what they used. You don't know if there was a demez out from the side. You don't have a 360-degree picture of the fight. You don't know if they maybe never got mez because they had a feedback up, right? Or not a feedback, but they had the like the OW neck. You just it's really tough to definitively say that something happened when you don't, and visual aids are not going to tell you the whole story. What Zeus said is true. Yeah, by the way, there are no politics, just for the record. No politics in here. Everybody should go vote regardless of what party you vote for. That we can all agree on. You should absolutely exercise your right to vote, but let's not talk about candidates here. I know it's a joke, but rules are the rules. So Zeus says you can join my 8-man drafts where people can learn 8-man tactics. Sure, you can. But Zoo, you're never going to encourage people to join if you're super cocky and running around, like being kind of a troll. And I have no reason not to like you. Like, I think you're, you know, like in the conversations that we've had where like not other, when Zoo and I have spoken and other people are not watching the conversation, I've had great conversations with Zoo. I have. I think Zoo's probably a pretty stand-up guy, but he's got a persona, like some of us do. I'm not always this happy, right? I'm not always like, I put on a face for the stream half the time. I can have a terrible day and I'm like, hey guys, let's go. You know, sometimes it shows. But I mean, people will join your 8-man drafts, but it's about the approach. You got to be inclusive. Zeus says, also, we almost always go to the underdog to help them out. So these past week, we helped out Midgard. I am not giving you credit for logging onto a particular realm. Just for the record. You do that, whatever your motivation is to log on a particular realm, fine. But don't expect us to cheer you on for it. Bammer says, thing is, the more that you play with Zoo, the more that you learn that he is a great dude. It's exactly what I said a second ago, right? Like, in the conversations that I've had with Zoo one-on-one, I think, like, I've absolutely no issue with Zoo whatsoever. None. I think he's a stand-up guy. And Bammers and I have had conversations. I think Bammers is a super stand-up dude, too. I've not had conversations with Patar, but other than his trash cans, I really don't have any feedback for him. And Casper's a stand-up guy as well. Look, here's the thing. IRC, right? It turns people off automatically because they are at a certain skill level that is not of most other or any other person on the server. That's really tough. When you can't beat a group, right? When you can't get a single win, and most people haven't, well, not most people, some people have not, that's really tough to swallow. And I think for the folks that are in IRC, I hope you can understand that that's why people feel the way that they feel. It doesn't mean you should play any less good. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't play to your best, right? Like, I'm not suggesting that you guys just go lay down and die repeatedly to make people feel better. But like, that's just it's an unintended side effect. I've run with IRC is not it's like the Temptations, right? How many members of the Temptations have there been? There's been like 40 members of the Temptations, right? Right? IRC has not always been this group of folks. I used to run with IRC on a fairly regular basis. Maybe not super regular. Certainly not as often as Bammers does when he jumps in a couple nights a week or whatever. But like, I used to run with IRC. I've been in IRC groups many, 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 many times. I've been playing this game for 20 years. 20 years. IRC, I'm hope that everybody understands what IRC actually means and why it's so silly to call you guys IRC. I should call you elite group, right? But like I was in IRC. I used to get picked up by groups in IRC chat all the time. I used to That was a thing. So, I'm just saying. When it comes to cheats, no, I don't think that they're rampantly cheating. But it doesn't help that one of your players has been caught deleting textures. Like, that's just... But it's a bad taste in my mouth. Whatever. Look, that's all I have to say. And you can... There's a lot of people, especially on HIB, in my alliance, in my guild, who disagree with me. A lot of people that give me so much crap. They're like, you're an IRC fanboy. You will defend them. I'm just calling it like it is. That's it. But people don't have to like each other, Reginald. I hear you. And all of them can be wrong, by the way. Because there's a level of toxicity that occurs in this game that is pushed by everybody, right? Like at some point, one or another, except for maybe the people that are being targeted by it. And people take the blame for stuff. People get blamed for things. I mean, look at what's happening in Alb right now. And I love Alb. Alb was my home for 17 years. I played all 3 realms during that 17 years, but like Alb was my home. Like now HIB is my home, you see, but like I play other realms too at the same time. The point is, there's a lot of Albs that think Hibs are OP. There are Hibs that think that minstrels need heals. I just had this conversation with, and I like super respect the person that did. He might even be watching tonight. You're saying that in order for minstrels to be part of 8-mans on Alb or in groups on Alb anymore, they need to have heals instead. And maybe they just lose the ability to charm pets, lose the ability to stealth, lose the ability to see. Like, what would it be? And Beeb actually had a conversation in here yesterday about this. But that's not the solution to the problem. Minstrels are fine. In fact, we got a guy here in chat who I think has done a phenomenal job displaying that in the 1v1s. You don't just start futzing with classes because they're not utilized because Sorks have speed. That's maybe 30% of it. But 70% of it is because, sorry, but there's a lot of Alps that don't know how to form proper groups. That's not even a leadership thing. That's just Alps don't know how to form proper groups. There are a few realms that don't know how to... Most of the realms. There's some people in all 3 realms that don't know how to form proper groups. Minstrels do not need to heal. There are... And by suggesting that, you are completely offloading all of the people that play stealth minis. Or that like to climb. Or that like to climb in and run siege. Right? Or like to pet stroll. I was a pet stroll for like 7 years. That's pretty much all I did. Woke says they need to watch Yama vid. They could watch a Casper vid too. But yeah. They might not see any water in the video. Not Casper. Sorry. I apologize. It was a bit too much. Thing is, Minstrel, Bammer says, thing is, Minstrel is one of those classes that's insane and one of the best classes in the game, arguably. Problem is, people don't understand their strengths or weaknesses anymore. Absolutely, because where have you seen a Minstrel on Alb? If Minstrels are so bad, why does Creeper? And why does IRC? Why do the competitive 8-mans run Minstrels in their groups if they suck so much? That was my argument, too. I know IRC plays all realms. Maybe that wasn't... Of course they do. I know that. I've seen them on all 3 realms. Sometimes I get harassed by Zoo. Harassed is a... I'm getting salty, and I don't really mean to be, because Zoo's been, I think, fine, frankly, when he's been sending me tells. Again... Ollie says, Pronder says, I think some folks have nostalgic memories of 8-man circa 2005 and think that because the population can't support tri-realm 8-mans at the volume the population could in its heyday, that means that 8-man is dead. I'm gonna agree with 70% of what you said, but I think the problem is that it's not just a level of population, it's the type of population that exists. There are more casual players than competitive players, and that's the issue. Ollie says, again, That boils down to each person learning their tune, how to play it, how to for a group, how to listen to each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that dies every day that the population continues to turn more casual. That's okay. It's okay for this to look at what's happening on the Free Shard in the other place. It's becoming a zerg fest. Why is it becoming a zerg fest? Because it's the natural evolution of every single game. The competitive players, a lot of them move on, and it becomes more casual over the course of time. 20 years is an insanely long time for a game to exist. And you got to give Broadsword a lot of credit for that. And Rob Denton, especially Rob Denton. But this is what happens, and that's okay. It's not a problem. It's fine. Albs are OP, it's why IRC likes them so much. Look at some of those Alb Roaming 5s and get jealous. Look, Albs are different than Hibs are different than Mids. The class makeups, or the group makeups, are considerably different in all three realms. Their abilities are considerably different, right? Alb has... My favorite 8-mans to run are on Alb. By far. My favorite 8-mans to run are on Alb. I think that the classes are a ton of fun to play. They're raw classes. Like, the Alb classes are super raw. And what I mean by that is they don't have... There's not always a ton of utility surrounding them in order to do what, like, Hib can do. Or even some Mids. Mids maybe a little less than. But they're raw classes, and that's what makes them, and to me, so much more fun to play. Yeah, I'm, look, should have taken his Alb is very setup dependent. Absolutely, yes. Because of how raw they are, you need a phenomenal group setup. Where on Hib, you can get away with just about any combination. You can get a debuff train going with just about any combination of players, which is nuts. You can do that on Hib. But Alb will if the right group setup, will outplay Hibs all the time. Bammer says, Bard, Ward, Druid, boom, Hib group. Absolutely, you're damn right. Absolutely. Yep. And it's not why Hib has become so popular, right? Hib has become so popular because of the hard work of the Looking Through Beer Goggles Alliance leaders who have built this, who have been a reliable BG lead for casual players over the last year and a half, 2 years. That's the only reason. If Alb had a reliable BG leader that logged in, that thought of fights in a competitive nature like Jedi does, or even Tap's becoming a great BG leader over there too. But if Alb had that, Alb would have a population, and they would do really well at night. And what's happening with Mid, right? Mids were, when Zyrman left, Mids had absolutely no BG during US Prime. It was awful. And over the course of several leaders, and now Legan, who has really taken the bull by the horns, he's done, there are now Hibs on. I'm not going to throw Rescue under the bus, and here's why. If it wasn't for Rescue holding Alb together, right? I think there's two sides of this. One, I'm being super, like, off the cuff about this. But Rescue, at least up until recently, has shown up every night regardless of whether he wins or he loses. So he gives casual players a home on Alb. That is something that Rescue has done that nobody else has done. Now, the flip side of that is that nobody else has done it because Rescue won't let them. And my hope is that Rescue can make, if this game is going to survive, or if Alb is going to survive, which they will, because populations ebb and flow, that somebody else will come in and take a lead. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, it's helpful and it hurts at the same time. Yep, Bammers, you and I are on the same page. Hib is doing well, Ponder says, because of the community support they facilitate for each other. That's why casual folks gravitate there. Sure, yeah. It's reliable leadership who win fights because they understand that you need strategery sometimes in order. You can't just run face first into something and expect to win. And Hibs have learned from a standpoint of not having a population. Who is raise your virtual hand if you were here when Hibs had 2 groups running for almost a decade during during US prime time. For almost 10 years that UAIN existed, Hibs had 2 groups running. That's it. Mids used to outnumber all 3 realms. Albs were the Hibs didn't exist. Albs were the underdog. And Albs won fights because Zyreman didn't understand the fight, like the play style of Billings and Lovely and whoever else ran the BG. Toonses was here, hand up, right? It's not easy to lead the Alb BG because it just like for Legan, it's not easy to run the mid BG. I mean, Legan could tell you, he could take up an entire page of chat here telling you exactly why it's so difficult because mids don't listen. Why do mids not listen? It's because they've not had anybody telling them what to do in fights. They've been trained not to. They're not bad players. Mids are not bad players. Albs are not bad players. That's why I get so upset hearing it. They've just been trained the wrong way. See, Bammers, I disagree. I think they're full of ice wizards. Do you think it's fire wizards? I think it's fire wizards only in like the context of maybe this is like it's the new thing because of like setting traps that they're all fire wizards, but they all used to be all ice wizards. And there's still some holdovers. Toons is because there aren't any strategies. And that's it. I mean, I have had lots of conversations with Rescue over the many years that he's been in this game. I like the dude. I think he's given people a home on Alb. I think he's done a great job. I think it's time for somebody else to step up. At some point, you have to throw in the flag and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to lead a BG. Even if I think I'm going to get pressured into it, I'm not going to. Somebody else step up. There's Tim's over there. There's a couple of people over there that are doing a great job. And I will give credit to IRC here, because IRC has pushed the Alb BG on some nights. Frankly, if IRC, if you want to, if some of this, like toxicity that surrounds IRC, if you want to, like what I would tell you as a media consultant, as somebody who's like trying to help you out, is that you like, if you really want credit for doing the right thing, and you don't have to do any of this by any stretch, log in on Alb and have the BG step up and say, you know what, we're going to lead the BG for a while. Come with us, guys. Follow us. Crash says, help build Alb. That's what you can do. You don't have to do any of that. And nobody has to hate on you. Nobody should be hating on you for being on that level. But if you really want the credit for it, that's what you need to do. Or just show up and just start, like somebody just show up and start leading a BG who understands the idea of pushing and pulling, flanking, forces people to build proper group setups. If you see people on a horse, tell them, you know, to figure something out. You're not going to run with the BG until you level up a Minstrel, level up a Sork. Hopefully they level up a Minstrel. Pronder says Legan has done a lot in mid the past 2 months for sure. Yeah, he has. Because he's shown up most nights. He's given them... I said this... there's a clip of me somewhere like 3 months ago, saying mids can do it if they had a solid leader. And I can't remember who it was. You can go back and look at this, one of the few clips that I've got on the channel. That there's a I think I said a huge opportunity. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. Legan has seized that, and that's why it's going so well over there. Let's talk about Herorius for a second. Okay. The idea of running a large number of people when there's no opposing BG is detrimental to the game, for sure. Hero, like Rescue, provides a place for people to spend time, socialize, and have a place to go. That's why Hero has a following, and that's why it's existed. It's exactly the same set of conditions that have occurred on Alb with Rescue. It's just that Hero is a different kind of player than Rescue. I'm not saying it makes him better or worse. I'm not comparing them like that. I'm just saying that's the difference. The reason why Hero's out there is because he's a different kind of player, and he will go and take things, and he will beat on things, and he wants a fight. Doesn't make it any better for the game, I'm just saying. If somebody on mid, Legan, another perfect example. Legan has led daytime BGs against Hero now for what, off and on for like a couple of weeks? And what have you done? Killed Hero a bunch of times. Bammer says the solution to the Hero problem is to not defend and not give him fights, which often makes him log. I don't have any clear evidence to suggest that he logs when he doesn't have a fight. His game time is his game time. Will he log earlier? Yes, but he will still come on and he will still do this for several hours at a time. I don't think not defending is the issue. I think the problem, and Bammer says he wants to clarify, and that's fine. When there isn't a Bammers, you go ahead. When there isn't a BG to defend, I'm putting you on the spot here, in front of all 35 of us. The part of the issue is that there's no mid BG leader, there's no out BG leader, and if there was, Hero would lose numbers, and it would be a normalized, like it used to be when there was the French on Alb, right? Used to have their own 3 or 4 groups. The Italians had a group or 2, right? The Euro players had a decently built up BG on Alb, and then you had Anna on mid. Hero was not anywhere near as powerful. People have moved over, and that BG has become enormous because there's nobody else to lead them. The casual players. There's nobody else to lead the casual players on either realm. So Legan, right? Legan stepped up. Legan's run a mid BG during the day. And he can tell you that he's got numbers, that he's killed Hero, and Hero has logged earlier because he's killed him. And to Broadsword's credit, they have done a phenomenal job, I think, at least in the... They could probably do a little more, and I understand why they might not be doing a little bit more. But Broadsword's done a great job in trying to make it a little bit easier or a little bit more worthwhile for people to actually sit and defend. The issue is that Broadsword can't solve this problem. This is not a Broadsword problem to fix. This is a player problem to fix. Or Broadsword, I guess, could log in and be a BG leader on Alb. One of the employees could. I will go out here and say that I am a fan. I'm an advocate for Broadsword to intervene more often than not in situations in the game. What do I mean by that? Dynamic events that occur on a weekend basis or on a weekly basis in which a dev manages the event and manages what happens makes them dynamic. It's what has propelled the other server. It's not hard to do. In fact, it's super easy to do. Broadsword is equipped to do it. I think they've got the staff to do it. That would be a phenomenal thing. To do events that help the underpopulated realms without being super concerned of the optics of it, because ultimately it all balances out. Again, if I was consulting for them, I would say you absolutely need to have tri-realm events. Whatever the cost is, you think initially to the perception of your what's the word I'm looking for? It's late. Allegiance. Whatever the perception is of your allegiance, get in there and help out. It's got to be a person though. It can't be a keep door is easier or harder to take down, right? Like the oil thing was great. They did a great job with that. They did a great job with awarding defenders RPs even if they died. I think there's some tweaks to that, but like get in, like the only thing I think you can do is really get in there. Reginald says, I love the community, really nice people, just an imbalance in the game is rough and always has been. For 20 years, it has done this. It will eventually, something will happen. Something will trigger progress on Alb, just like it did on mid. We can accelerate it, though, by trying to promote people that want to step up, that have some regular availability, that can do the things for the casual players. I'm not even talking about 8-mans at this point. I'm just talking about casual players. Crash says, so, would we really be having this convo if the population was an issue? Nope, we wouldn't. Not at all. Stupid end user said, Hib stun at keeps are the reason you can't defend against hero. He gets pushed out of the keep. We can defend walls without 60% of his numbers. Tactics. Hib stun is not the reason you can't defend against hero. It's the reason why you constantly get killed on the roof of a keep, because you continue to give those casters line of sight. That's why. That's why you can't defend, is because not enough albs understand how LOS works and keeps. And that's the reason why you die, is you allow yourself to be stunned. There's so much more to this than just stun nuke. There's a lot of things that you can do. For instance, don't fight on the roof of the keep. Don't fight on the outside. Have a really, really great banister game. Get your balcony game up to whatever the B word that you want to use to define the second floor of the keep of the inner. Get your game up there. Get your thugs to rank 5 as soon as they run in. Get your ticks to rank 5. AoEs on everything. Diseases on everything. That's it. That's what you need to do. You'll kill him every single time. And minstrels, for fark's sake. Minstrels with Zephyr. And a host of other things like AM that keeps a group up when everybody's interrupted. There's so many things that you can do. It's not stun nuke. It's about the dynamics of a keep fight. That's not even negotiable, or even you can't even argue that. That's just what it is. I know, because I've been on the receiving end of stun nuke. We played Alb very briefly before we essentially virtually got booted off of the realm because of how toxic people were to us coming over there from Hib. Even though like I was probably an Alb for longer than they've even been playing the game, but we encountered this. Hero was on, we logged on Alb, I think we were at Ren or something, and we were trying to hold the Lord Room, and it was a great wake-up call for me to be like, hey, why am I doing this? Why am I giving them LOS? There's so many other ways to fight this. The problem is, it was only a group of us plus rescue, and that BG will just, any day of the week, will run into stun and die. Stupid End User says, okay, you won't listen. You think Hero has been doing this for 5 minutes and you were moaning about it when you were on Alb? Is that directed towards me? Hero's been doing this for a long time, but all Hero knows is to climb in and to wreck everything. He doesn't... I've been in Hero's Zerg before. I've been in Hero's TeamSpeak. I know how he plays. It's not about Hero. Anybody who pushes inside of a keep, if you've got a good balcony game, if you can't compete on the roof, if you cannot compete in the courtyard, your only game is to compete in the balcony. And not the Lord Room, the balcony. Don't immediately go to the Lord Room if you're an Alb. Stupid End User says, I give up. I will continue to leave the keep to be PvE'd. And that's because there's no leadership and no example of like the right thing to do. I think 9 times out of 10, that's how most Albs feel. And this is why it continues to exist. Pronder says, Alb probably needs their own Legion hammered. Someone in the realm with focus and a guild that is friendly and growing. Yes, they need a BG leader who logs in every single night, who shows up, who says, come with me. We're going to have good fights. We're probably going to die. We're going to learn to play together. We're going to learn to play as a group. We're going to build a team. We're going to be the IRC of BGs. We're going to go in there, we're going to kick ass and take names. Are we going to die a lot? Yeah, we're going to die a lot because we've never played together. And frankly, a lot of you guys need a refresher on how to RVR. Like, no offense. But if you want to, in the long game, if you want to have a good time, if you want to come in and have competitive fights, this is the BG to join. 10 tanks push in a power tap. What's the easiest counter to a power tap? Endostorm. If Albs are Stormlords and you drop an Endostorm, power tap disappears within a few seconds. Because they power tap until they run out of Endo and they can't regenerate Endo fast enough. Solves the problem. You can, stupid end user, by all means, like anybody here, throw out things that happen, and I will give you solutions to the problem, because it's about tactics. Right? Power leak only works if you've got Endo, and it eats a lot of Endo. You get an Endo storm up, no power leak. Or a power leak for like 5 seconds. All of your tunes should have at least a couple of items with power charges on them, should have power pots on them, you should have a minstrel running power song, you should have fops in the Lord Room or on the balcony. Problem solved. The power gets eaten away, they don't have Endo because they're in the middle of an Endo storm, you pop power pot, you're back in business. Should have taken says, I don't even know an Alb Stormlord. That's probably the issue. Bammer says, a big issue with the new BG I found from running with them over the last week is hearing League and calling to push and watching the whole BG try and pull a run. Yeah. It's hard to watch and I'm not even leading. I think Legan would agree with you. I think Legan would absolutely agree with you on that. It's a huge problem. Look, there's a solution to all these problems. There's a solution to every problem in life. Hibs do this too. Hibs chase shinies. There was a situation last week at Crim where we were fighting the Hib BG, and again, I'm talking about BGs. If you want me to talk about 8-man tactics, I can. Talking about BGs. By the way, if you like fight recaps, and in fact, I can play for you guys a little bit of the fight recap. I have a 2.5 hour long fight recap video with annotations and everything on my Patreon. I've got a couple of examples on YouTube. I will play one of them towards the end here. You can watch just a couple minutes of it. If you like it, you can get the whole 2.5 hours, and there will be one every week on my Patreon. But I'll play a little bit of it. Fight at Crim. IRC comes in from the water, right? Doing what they know how to do, which is to push in, get, be shiny, and then extend out and kill. They're just pulling people. They're coming in, they're grabbing people away from the BG. And what happens? 3 groups of Hibs die to IRC. 2 groups, because they're all like super. They're not even like, it's not a single push. They're all strung out. There's like 3 groups that are going, and mids come in and wipe us. That was last week. And I'll play a quick Patreon preview video, because I think it's just a few minutes long. There's 2.5 hours of this from last week that is on the Patreon. You have to be tier 2 or above. It took me like 5 or 6 hours to make on Sunday. It's a significant effort. It takes a lot of time. So it's not a $5 thing. You got to be a tier 2 or above. It's $15 a month or above to see the whole thing. You'll get one a week. There's all sorts of really cool other exclusives that you get being part of the Patreon. And you're supporting the stream, you're supporting the giveaways. It's an all-in-one thing. There's other things I'm writing for the game that I think will be super helpful. I'm in the middle of writing a script and realm bot a script for realm keep and tower status updates in Discord. So within the next week or so, I will launch this, and you'll be able to add it to your Discord and get real-time updates as to when towers and keeps are taken. Broadsword hasn't been able to do it yet. I found a way I did it. So there's that Patreon, it's maybe not a little bit of money to some people, but that money goes to a lot of work. This is pretty much all I'm doing at this point. So IRC, well, I don't even know what I was talking about. IRC does it all the time. Shinies, chasing shinies. Yeah, you can't. Mid BG does that too. You can't do it. Nor should you be, but there's a flip side of this. Nor should you be stuck to the BG leader in mid. You shouldn't be stuck to Legan. You should be listening to his calls and going with him, but you cannot be in a clump. Because last week, there were a couple fights where All the mids were clumped. Nobody was flanking. Nobody was sidecarring. And somebody got a great mez. And a couple of us either dotted or PBA'd, and the entire zerg was dead. And that would not have happened if you had a sidecar group. Or a group that was flanking always that was about a 1,500 to 2,000 units off to one side of the zerg. One of the biggest problems Alps has is that they don't have many willing to even lead a group, let alone find the players to build perfect groups. Yeah. So that's it. That's what we need to do. That's what you guys need to do. Okay. I'm going to play... I don't know how many people are going to stick around for this. If you've seen it once before, whatever. I am a big fan of this video. It took me a lot of time to make. There's all of these fights. I think like 99% of the fights from last week are broken down in this video. In the 2.5 hour long one. There's a very brief preview. It's just a few minutes long from a fight at the Mile Gate. Yes, I'm very critical of Legan in this video, but, well, not Legan, the BG. I think Legan made the right calls, but the BG didn't listen. Here's just a quick, I need another beer or a pillow. Here's a quick preview of what that looked like. So let me just scoot back a little bit. So you got mids that are... Sorry, wrong video. Hold on. No. Ah! Hold on 1 second. That's the wrong one. That's not the one I want to show you. Hold on 1 second. I made an oopsie. Not the video I wanted to show you. There's another video that's even better, I think. This is the other preview. Okay, we're going to go to it now. Okay, first off. What is this? Why are the mids trying to come this way through the Mile Gate? Mids should have been on either side of the back end of the Mile Gate and used as a choke. It's not a choke if you push through. Right? It's only a choke point if you allow people to get choked. If you come through the other way, it completely defeats the purpose of it trying to be a choke point. And this is where I get the cast off on everybody that was in line of sight and completely wreck their day.
Jordan.
So they've lost, at this point, they've lost all their tanks. All their tanks are gone.
Push in.
Or at least their tank train is either dead or they're running.
It's hammer time.
Light him up. Oh shit.
Oh,
Right side's looking okay.
Oh, come on. Holy fuck, that was close.
Okay.
Frost.
Now, I'm way overextended here, right? I'm way overextended. I'm way into the fight because that's just me, right? Do as I say, not as I do. These guys are all in a great spot. I think that might be Legan here. All of these guys are in a great spot, right? These guys are, yeah, they're okay because they're trying to support what's up front. I'm not sure what's going on over here because you're still in line of sight of the doorway, which is not a good spot to be, right? And look at this, just look at this Hib tank train. Look at this Hib tank train. This is nuts.
Keep killing
They're just wrecking everybody's day.
Tanks, push west. Tanks, push west. Push west.
So at this point, these guys need to be moving this way. These guys are still fine, but this group needs to be moving back towards the tower.
Dang, you're way far away for a res.
Yes, he was. Hey, I need to...
Because you're gonna get
Go.
trapped.
Some hills.
Guys,
Yeah,
and the Hibs.
We're getting pushed back.
Yeah.
To the gate
Okay,
here.
so here's another
Why though?
another great example.
Yes, he was.
Where are the Hibs in all of this? Right? So let's just play this for a little bit and let's just look again. I just skipped back a few seconds. Okay. What's going on over here? We own everything on this side of the fight. The only part that you want to avoid is over here. Where are the Hibs? There is no reason. If I'm here and I'm living and I'm, wearing essentially paper towel, why are these Hibs not pushing through? They should have been through the gate at this point. There's no reason for that.
Come through.
We're getting pushed back through the gate here.
Yeah, why though? I don't.
No, we're pushing them towards the tower.
Yeah. We're doing fine here. Just
You
apply
got
pressure.
someone that are flanking us on our
Yeah, some
right
free
side.
cap. Okay, so this, at this point in the fight, not good. great in the beginning, right? So if in the beginning of the fight, I assume these folks were looking over the other side of the mile gate, perfect, because a lot of the Hibs weren't pushing at that point. I was just going off on my own, and there were some tanks, and some of the Hibs pushed through, but not all. Why these mids are still up on this gate when the Hibs are pushing through the gate and moving up is absolutely, like, I have no idea. These, I assume, again, haven't watched this yet, assume all these mids are going to die. Up on the left-hand side as you come in, second floor of the mile gate, looking down on us.
Yeah, I messed up.
Well, they're unmessed now, so AoE.
Permanently interrupt that fucking southwest.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, call
yeah, they're all going to die. They're not, there's no opportunity for them to make it to the tower. These guys are all, I mean, they're already starting to die, right?
That tower.
And now they're going in the box, which makes no sense at all. Southwest is neutralized.
Push him back in. Push him back in.
Those are other Hibs.
There we go. Get on the door, guys. Get on the door, quick, quick. That shit down.
We need to open this.
They're not releasing, so there's probably not that many alive in there.
Pushing in, pushing in.
Okay, so what am I doing as a mentalist, right? I'm looking at these people on the stairway. I don't care about anybody that's down here. My entire focus is this stairway and finding a target that's sitting still, picking it, and just going to town with AoEs. Because everybody, right, if you think about it, the logic of it is everybody on the ground floor has to go up the stairs, right, in order to get to the Lord Room. So all those mids down there, if there's one person that's just sitting there a little too long, every single AoE cast that I land on that person is going to hit everybody that's trying to run up the stairs.
Shit.
Holy crap, there's a lot in here.
Set up.
And you can see that, right? All those dots that are landing.
Dwarf.
Check your buffs in case you got stripped.
Chop, push, chop.
They've lost so many at this point. The fight is done. There's no way that they can hold the Lord Room. They simply don't have enough. Okay, so that's the preview, right? And there is 2.5 hours of that on Patreon. Every single Sunday, I'm going to drop a new video. In fact, I might even go back and do some of them daily, but there's all sorts of new content I'm going to start posting, or I have started posting. And the Patreon is a great way to help support the channel and to help us grow and sustain this, because this is pretty much what I'm doing all the time. Anyway, I think that's it. Does anybody else have questions about scripting or about cheating or about whatever? I think that's pretty much a wrap at this point. But I think it's, if I can leave you guys with anything at all, it's that don't try not to be part of the problem. Try not to be super toxic about what you see or what you think you see, and understand that there's probably something else happening. If you think that somebody's cheating, there a great example in the official Discord, in the bug reports channel, somebody put, I was stealthed and running away, and this guy was chasing me. He must have been radaring. Ban him, or I'm paraphrasing. But he thought that he was being chased by, he was a stealther. This guy was just following around. He thought this guy was radaring. Radar doesn't see stealth players. The client, unless you're in manager mode, the client does not see, probably shouldn't have said that. The client does not see stealthers. Doesn't happen. Sorry, the client does not see stealthers, aka, therefore, radar does not see stealthers. Doesn't happen. It's not possible. Also, radar doesn't see anybody out of clip range. Because the client, it's not that I like run radar and like I know, it's that the client doesn't have the data. So if the client doesn't have the data, the radar can't have the data. So if there are people radaring, and I think there might be a small handful of people that are still writing custom code, that are still doing things that they should not be doing, they cannot, they're very far and few between, first. There's very few of them, if any, exist. And second, if you're a stealther. So just like there are probably other things that are happening that are happening that you maybe just don't understand. So yes, as Pronder says, spread. I really need sleep. Spread love, not hate. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Radar used to exist, and I think it probably does in some way, shape, or form. There's nothing to indicate to me from the technical side of things that radar in some way, shape, or form doesn't work. I believe the client still has that data. I just don't. It's not been updated, and I think that if people are stop it, Legan. If people are still using it, they're writing custom versions of it. But it's not a widespread thing at all. It used to be really widespread, and then Broadsword instituted a detection methodology, or is that the right word? They found a way to essentially insert fake players. A lot of them were caught, I think, visually. It's also possible that the client had some sort of process check enabled to be able to see what was running in the background. But in any event, it's not a thing that exists anymore. And speed hacking, by the way, still something that can be done in the game, but I believe the client has a cross check. You can still technically manipulate the client, but I believe that Broadsword can catch it. So don't think about that's a really dumb thing to do. Don't think about doing it. As is geometry hacks or things like augmentation of movement data. Just don't do it. You'll get caught. You will get caught. You absolutely will get caught. I mean, hell, enough people get falsely accused of it. Sorry. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. Be nice to one another. Be nice to the developers. Send Broadsword some love. Do not hound Carol. Give Carol love. Carol deserves love from us. She's got a really hard job. Give the developers some love. And give your fellow players some love too. Okay? Please? Let's stop being so toxic. Let's all work together here. I think it's not so hard. Anyway, really quickly, thank you to Siambra and Ollie, who are both Beard Club members. That is the highest tier of support that you can... Sorry, I keep calling it the Beard Club. It's Beard Crew. I have to get that right. Thank you to Siambra and Ollie for being members of the Beard Crew on Patreon. That is the highest level of support that you can give. Thank you to Pronder and to Beeb for being tier 3 supporters. That is an enormous amount of support. Thank you so much. And to God's Demon, thank you so much for being a tier 1 supporter to the channel. Again, patreon.com/RamikMedia if you want to check it out. By the way, I would much prefer that you go to, if you feel like you want to subscribe to the content here, I'd much prefer that you go to Patreon and do it. Because Twitch takes a 50% cut. It just means that the channel gets significantly less of your money, your hard-earned money that you intend to send to the channel to support. I'd much prefer that you go do it from Patreon. Even if that means if you delete your sub here and renew it on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, that's the way to do it. Okay, be safe, wear a mask, take care of everybody around you. Make sure I don't care what party you vote for. Just vote. Be a part of the process, okay? Please. It's really important. Democracy lives or dies, depending on whether you vote or not. So go vote. Okay, guys, have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you not tomorrow. No stream tomorrow because it's election night, but we will have a special stream on Wednesday. So we'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great night, guys. Take care. Bye.